Hi guys, welcome to the Divine Creators Podcast with Cody Singh. Hello there and welcome. Cody here. Very excited to open up dialogue, to connect to spirit, and to invite in this energy for all those who'd like to participate in this energy, participate in the asking and the receiving involved in this transmission here today. Just opening up and allowing in the guides that would like to participate in this transmission as they direct the questions that will be answered here today, that will be touched on. The intention is to raise your vibration, to reach a point of attraction that is most in flow for you. For you are either two states of being. You are either flowing or you are stuck. And that's where we want to begin here today. You are either flowing energy or stuck energy. And when you are flowing energy, you cannot think a negative thought, because in order to think that negative thought, your energy has to cease. The flow of energy will stall or slow down or begin to resist. Okay? Anytime you are caught in a rut, that is accompanied by your energy not flowing as freely as it can flow. It's stuck in that moment based on the question or the thing that you're pondering on your mind, or the thought that you are immediately thinking of in that moment. The more you focus on that, the more you will stall the energy of the flow. So the idea is to maintain flow. So what does that mean? Well, that means think thoughts that allow your energy to flow. And that also informs who you are in many ways as well. Okay? Because if you know when I'm thinking this thought, my energy is flowing, you know that is about who you truly are. Who you authentically and intrinsically are is how your energy uniquely flows. That is what authenticity is. Authenticity is acting and speaking in alignment with how your energy is flowing in that moment. That is an authentic person. You can feel it, you can detect it, you can feel it in their energy. You can feel it in how they communicate, how they flow, and how you feel at ease when they speak. So this is how you know somebody is authentic and has integrity, in what they are doing, okay? Okay, integrity in what they are doing is flowing in alignment with the way their energy flows. It will always keep flowing, and as that energy keeps flowing and charging those creations, they begin to expand, they begin to grow, and they keep flowing. Because why? Energy is infinite, because this universe is infinite. You are infinite, okay? And you translate that universal energy through your solar plexus, and your solar plexus interprets that energy into your physical reality, okay? Everything that you experience, that's why your reality is unique. That's why no one else in the world experiences exactly what you do, because your solar plexus is your identity. It is your third chakra. And that is your core of creation. The epicenter of creation is that part of your being. Okay? That's who you are. And that's how you know your abundance takes the form of uniquely who you are. So with that sort of intro, sort of setting the vibrational stage of the questions that will align with the vibration that we've sort of set out here, okay? We are going to dive in. We're going to select the question that is popping out like a pop-up book, okay? And this happens for all of us, okay? This is not just for people who identify as being psychics or channels or anything like this, okay? There are things that jump out at you all day long, okay? And you could think of it like a pop-out book, right? You could think of it as someone or something sort of lighting up to you And all that means is that person or that thing is a match to your vibration in that moment. So what we did here in the beginning of this video is set the vibrational stage, right? We are aligned with source energy. So now any questions that we ask are going to sort of fuel the source intention that we've set here, okay? So anything that comes will assist you in raising your vibration to meet the vibrational frequency of your source, okay? So this first question says, "Hi Cody, how did you realize you were psychic or seeing auras?" Okay, there's a couple different aspects of this question. There's another part we'll begin with this first one. So how did you realize you were psychic? Okay, there's a couple ways that we could break this down. Here's how it works, okay? There are a number of different people who will have different experiences in how they sort of develop their psychic awareness, how they learn to interpret the unique energy around you depends on uniquely who you are. For Cody was very into music growing up. He was very into classical music. And to think about music and the vibration of music, particularly classical music, he was a violinist growing up, and being in those rooms, you can actually feel the vibration of sound. And when it's in harmony, it is connected to source energy. And the nature of those orchestras are to harmonize, and to harmonize is to be in alignment. So people who create music, and music that feels good, they are not thinking, they're not using their cerebral mind, they are allowing the feeling frequency to flow through and be interpreted by their senses, by their sensibility, into the unique composition that they produce. It will always be in alignment because they are receiving from a good feeling place. So they will attract listeners who resonate in that vibration to also receive it in that good feeling place. Vibration through music helped Cody to understand that there is a subtext, a sort of undertone to reality. He would navigate his day-to-day experiences in school and have two dialogues going on in his head. One with the people, and then with the people that he was interacting with on a day-to-day basis, his school teachers, his peers, and then there was another conversation going on beneath it saying, what is going on here? None of this feels real. It feels like everybody's leaving something out of the equation. Why is nobody else talking about the things that we should be talking about? Why isn't anybody addressing these feelings, this energy? This doesn't feel right. You know, this was how he was experiencing his day-to-day life. So that sort of helped. During that period of time, he sort of fell out of alignment. So his psychic awareness and sensitivity to energies and his otherworldly experiences and out-of-body experiences that many, many, many people experience at very young ages but dissociate from it, and because of oftentimes similar reasons to Cody, because of being faced with society and the reality that most of society likes to subscribe to, okay? Society is not typically sensitive, it's not typically oriented to emotions or vibration, just the physical. They are not understanding that beyond the physical, before the physical, everything and every one of us is vibration, and it must be aligned first there before the physical can have any sort of integrity or impact that you would like to see. Sort of tapping into these energies in this form through music is what allowed him to trust his psychic awareness at a young age, because he did succeed in music, in classical music, in violin at a young age. He eventually found other forms of music that he learned and adapted to very quickly, not because he studied it at all, just because he understood vibration and he understood how to interpret vibration. And we all have different ways that we connect to the subtext of reality. We all have our inner dialogue and our intuition. And when you train it and validate it long enough and also have approval for it, which for him it was through music, he knew he was using his intuition in music and it was actively being validated through praise and through accomplishments. So when you understand vibration from that lens, you can understand why society and school for him growing up sort of made him dissociate, where his psychic awareness was actually dissociative. Now, this is very interesting, and this is something that not enough people talk about regarding psychic awareness, is that it is very dissociative as children, because you almost need to dissociate from the vibrational world in order to function as a physical human being in the ways the adults around you want to function, particularly the ones that have forgotten that they are a spirit, that have forgotten they are energy and connected to the universe. Through Cody's journey to spiritual awakening, that was really instigated from being quite disempowered. Once he began to spiritually awaken, he began to awaken his psychic awareness in a bigger way again. And the more he began to tune into that, the more he raised his vibration. And as he raised his vibration, he began to receive more and more downloads. And these downloads are his consciousness returning to him, okay? Higher awareness. The higher you raise your vibration, the closer to the frequency of source you are, and the closer to the way you perceive source you are. So, for Cody, tapping into that source energy through music helped him have sort of a reference for the feeling state he needed to be in, the relaxed place he needed to be in order to perceive things like auras, okay? Cody did a lot of work with one-on-one sessions, okay? Life coaching sessions, energy healing sessions, but a lot of work working through personal issues with people. And when you have to do that, you really have to tune in one-on-one in that person. And what happens, and what he started to realize, was when you tune into a person, especially emotionally, their colors stand out brighter. So when you are relaxed and when you are sensitive and when you are attuned to another person, energetically and emotionally, their colors will present themselves. But the key is you have to be relaxed and you have to be trusting your intuition and you have to be flowing. So if you are straining, if you're struggling, if your mind is preoccupied, you're not going to be able to perceive auras. There are times Cody sees auras stronger than other times based on his vibration in that moment. If his vibration is high and he is relaxed, he will see it clearer. If he is distracted, it will be harder for us to reach him. It will be harder for us to flow source perception through his channel when he is not signaling at a high enough vibration for us to reach him. He must signal that frequency for us to perceive through him. The other part of this question, I want to, one way or another, because I assume, perceive auras or be psychic, okay? Because I don't want to read someone's selfie subjectively and cause harm potentially. So that goes back to projection, that goes back to what we just talked about here. Are you relaxed before you do anything, before you tap into someone or quote unquote read somebody energetically, the first thing you want to do before any of that is relax. Relax, relax, relax. Get into the most relaxed place that you possibly can be. If you are not relaxed, you're tuning into a vibration that is not clear and that may not necessarily represent their energy. In order to connect to their energy, you have to flow source energy, because that individual is connected to source energy as well. And in order to perceive them, you have to tune into the source that they come from as well. And when you are tapped into that energy, you will be the information will flow to you about that person in whatever way you are meant to receive it. You may not see auras physically. You do not need to see auras physically. You will feel auras. Okay? Auras, everyone has a color, but not everybody sees the color. But the color is simply representative of a vibration. So a blue has a particular vibration. It has a particular feeling. When you see a blue person, many of you in these sorts of communities would gravitate to them, because you know that blue person vibrates in such a way that is more, that makes a person more sensitive emotionally, sometimes more spiritually susceptible. They are more nurturing, they're more caring, okay? And you can detect that vibration in a person. If you see two people, one who's very sensitive versus one who's very detached from their emotions, you will be able to feel that energetically. You will even be able to feel it when someone walks into a room. You can almost feel the temperature in the room change. Okay, tune into that. You have to begin tapping. If you want to develop your psychic abilities, you have to start with the very subtle and soft indications. Okay, start small and it will grow. You can't just go all at once. Okay, start with your feelings first. Okay, how do you feel right now in this room? Okay, and then have somebody walk in the room, and what does that feel like? Does it feel warm? Does it feel fast? Does it feel striking? Does your heart start racing? You know, you have to learn to detect and decipher these sensations in your body. What does when my heart starts beating fast, what does that mean? Okay? And you're going to realize when you start doing this, you're going to get better at being human in general. You're going to get better at communication. You're going to get better at speaking to other people in emotionally compassionate ways, okay? You're going to have more clarity and direction in your own life, in your own prospects, in your job, and more confident in your relationships as well. So keep that in mind moving forward. Craig, this was a really wonderful question, and thank you for that prompt, okay? So we have a number of other questions that we're going to be scrolling through here. We're just going to see which one jumps out immediately, okay? And just another piece of information for you guys, if you're looking for aura readings on the group, be sure to post a picture with a white background, okay? If you want the colors specifically, the white backgrounds are very helpful in not confusing the colors that can kind of blend with other colors in the background and be a little bit confusing. Most of you are not just one color, you have multiple colors. So having a white background just really helps you see it a lot more clearly. Absolutely, yes, if you can even do it like 2 to 3 feet out of your body, like if you could just kind of zoom out a bit, that's even better. If it's not super up close, don't be afraid to zoom out, okay? And if there are people around you, try to do it where there's nobody else around, because again, their electromagnetic fields can influence yours as well, especially when you guys are crystals. the crystal auras, and there's quite a few of you in the Divine Creators with Cody group. The crystals are a clear aura, so they will adopt and assume and sort of pull in other colors based on the energies that they are using or participating or connecting to. They're natural transmuters of energy. So when they are together, they tend to transmute other people's energy around them, but in order to do that, they sort of take it on themselves. So Vedona, beautiful name. Okay, Vedona has a question here. And again, if you guys are looking for these questions, you know, of course, but if you are not familiar with the Facebook group, Divine Creators with Cody Singh on Facebook, you can have free aura readings and just conversation and community to raise your vibration and tune into your true self, your highest self, your source self. So Vedona says, I'm curious to know anything you sense from my aura. And the one in nature is from last week. The second one from October. The second one is from October. Okay. Well, your aura is indigo. So just to have a moment to talk about the indigos, you also have another color in there. There's a tiny bit of, and it's temporary, just in that moment, perhaps. But it's a little red, and it's there to protect you emotionally from people who may try to violate your boundaries that are in your immediate life, or people that you may connect to at some point, in your life, or so that's there to kind of keep you emotionally protected. But your primary aura color, Vedona, is indigo, and I see that you said the one in nature is from last week. The second one is from October. So the indigos are high consciousness beings. They always have a high consciousness innately. That doesn't mean that they are all high vibrational necessarily. The frequency of indigo is naturally higher. So if they are in alignment, of course, anyone in alignment is a high vibration, but speaking in the subject matter of starseeds and galactic beings, the indigos come here to invite a higher consciousness. They come in here to change the paradigm of this planet. They come in here a little bit feisty, but really sensitive still. Very, very highly sensitive, absorbent, okay? They absorb information. They learn through absorbing, even. They absorb energies around them. They're highly empathic. They are highly emotionally intelligent and emotionally perceptive as well. So they can sort of pick apart people psychically, emotionally speaking. They tap into their emotions, and they can kind of just smell you a mile away emotionally. They really can. So that's something for you there, and that's just another opportunity to talk about the indigos. We probably might talk a little bit more about them in the future as well, okay? Frandes Adrian says, hello to everybody. Can I get an aura reading, please? Absolutely. And thank you for having a white background. That helps me tremendously. So your aura color is emerald green, which tells me, and your energy is very in alignment in this photo, which your energy is flowing, which tells me you're abundant. An abundant field, an abundant auric field is there's energy coming in and coming out at the same pace, at the same speed, which is giving and receiving. As above, so below. It's sort of like breathing. Their aura looks like it's breathing in and out, in and out, in and out, and that is flow. Okay, and that flow indicates abundance. So what I can see in your aura is, in this photo, it's pretty symmetrical, and I can see again, the green tells me that you are a hard worker, okay? Green is a mental color, right? So you have strong mental strength, okay, and that can be applied in many different areas of your life. Greens can be very diverse in many different ways. For you, yeah, it could just come across and just being a hard worker, even in business or whatever work that you choose to do. You're very sort of organized in your approach, not lackadaisical. You know, sometimes a lot of the blues and the purples can be kind of unconventional in how they, even if they are in traditional jobs, they sort of do it their own way, or just, you know, have a different way of operating, or, you know, but you have this sort of structure about you, and that is a great thing to have, and that is one of the better expressions of green that there is. So your crown chakra is not open, but not necessarily in a negative way. I can see that you would, you know, opening that up is maybe the next stage for you in your spiritual development, and doing so again is just going to invite sort of a new season of your life, invite more consciousness into the themes already plugged into your life, okay? The details that are a part of your life now are going to now be accompanied with a higher vibrational awareness, okay? That doesn't mean you're going to judge it more. That's actually a lower frequency, a lower consciousness. You will now be able to see it in such a way where you're sort of unplugged from the nitty gritty, okay, the stressors, okay, the things that you don't need to be thinking about that you know are taking your energy. Those things will sort of start falling away as your consciousness starts to increase, okay? And it's so lovely to have you here, Frandez. I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Frandez Adrian. So thank you for your greeting, and it's so lovely to have you here, okay? So we're going to scroll through because I saw a bunch of amazing questions, a bunch more were lighting up. I just want to see if I can find those again. So this next question is from Millie. Millie says, okay, I'm trying to understand, what does a conscious ego mean? Because I think I have a lot of it. And I don't think it's bad just because it has the ego aspect attached to it. So please help me understand how I see it as a sense of self that also takes other people's interests into consideration, but as a purpose, wants to explore the world through its own perception and keep it totally separate from others' perspective. Like, sure, I would love to listen and understand different perspectives, but ultimately act along with my own perspective. Does that make sense? Well, this is a very highly evolved question. That this tells me that you have been on a spiritual journey for long enough to understand that there is a distinction between your true self and the ego, but that they are counterparts. They are connected. And the thing that we want to break down in terms of understanding the ego is to understand that it is a vital part of you creating, okay? Your ego is a focusing tool. Your ego is what provides the feedback to your higher self, or us, right? That guides you in the direction of what your ego is pointing to you that you want, okay? Your ego is saying it wants something, and your higher self knows how to whittle that sort of primitive kind of thought and extract the essence that it knows that you truly want. Okay? So your ego wants to be a billionaire when your higher self knows you just want infinite resources and abundance. So your higher self is going to strategically guide you on a path that invites infinite abundance. The ego is not bad. What's bad is attaching to the ego. Because if you keep holding on to the attachment that I want $1 billion and $1 billion is the only way that I'm going to get my needs met, that's when ego can turn into a nightmare. Okay, that's when ego can turn your life into a nightmare. Feel your feelings, your emotions into a nightmare experience. Okay, but when you get back centered and connect to your source and your flow from source, your true self, you get quiet enough, relaxed enough, sensitive enough, attuned enough to yourself. Okay, you start flowing your true consciousness that is going to motivate actions, right? That energy flowing to you motivates an action that will guide you in the direction of what you truly want, the essence of what you truly want, the feeling signature of what you truly want, and the physical thing to come in will represent that feeling for you, and it will come in pieces, not all at once, okay? So it's a little bit of semantics here when you're asking what does a conscious ego mean? Different words used to describe the same thing. There's a lot of people that use different words to describe the same thing, especially in the spiritual community. That's why it can feel very contradictory sometimes. However, what a conscious ego means from this context that we explain is being the awareness of your thoughts, being aware that your feelings, both positive and negative, are pointing you in a direction, and being aware that when your ego spikes, which means when negative emotion spikes in relation to an experience, a conscious ego is aware that that negative feeling is not a negative thing happening. It is just pointing you in a direction and indicating to you that where you are is deviated from the flow state of who you truly are, which is your source self. So anytime you are having your ego spike, right? Anytime your ego is getting erupted in some kind of way, that is just telling you that your energy, your source energy, is not flowing, that you are stuck, and not only are you stuck, but you are trying to justify being stuck. You are feeding energy in being stuck so that that energy is now festering. Okay, it's festering because you are not just stuck, you are staying there and having conversations about being stuck and feeding that energy of being stuck in various different ways because you think or you identify with that feeling of being stuck. You think who you are is disempowered. You think who you are is not good enough. You think who you are is angry and resentful. When that's not who you are, that's the only reason you would stay there, is if you think that that is who you truly are, that's where you're supposed to be, and that's how you're supposed to act in this world to stay safe. The way you get out of that is by remembering and by practicing the frequency of who you truly are, and that is source. And that's also the easiest state of being to maintain. You need to sort of practice it a little bit first, but once it's flowing, that's your natural state of being, okay? The universe doesn't flow negative energy. The universe is light, okay? You are made of light. So the nature of light is to return to light. When you die, we return to light. That is inevitable, which means what is also inevitable is you will always return to the light no matter how much you pinch yourself off from it. No matter how much you deviate from that light flowing to you, you cannot sustain that forever because you are light. No matter what, you are always flowing light. When your light is flowing a little bit less, that is when you experience negative emotions. When you identify with your light flowing less, you stay in that state of light flowing less, and your experience, your reality reflects that state of light not flowing into it. It looks like someone who lives a dark life, a life without abundance, a life without joy, a life without love, a life without connection. That is what it looks like when your light is not flowing to you. But you have to know that that negative emotion is there for a reason. It is not because that is who you truly are. That negative emotion is there because it's trying to tell you to move in the direction of joy and freedom and light incrementally. You always have access to that. and it is always there for you to access, and you do access it every single day in some moments, many moments, more moments than not. If you manifested another day on this planet, you have enough momentum of light energy flowing to you that it has fueled your existence for another day. You've woke up another day on this planet because there is enough life force, light energy flowing to you to supply another day on this planet. Another day of vital organs functioning, another day of blood flow, another day of heartbeats, another day of neurological functioning, another day of relationships, another day of love, another day of joy in any form, okay, is available to us at all times. Anytime we have a flicker, we are meters, we are fluctuating constantly. If you are somebody who identifies as negative, it's just you're taking note of more negative emotions than positive emotions, when there is far more good things manifesting in your reality than negative things. And the first thing that you're manifesting are not things, you are manifesting thoughts. You are attracting thoughts. Attracting thoughts based on the intention that you're in, or based on the belief that you have. Okay? There are millions and millions and millions of different processes that you will find on the internet or from different life coaches that will teach you how to be in a good mood, or how to heal your trauma, or how to fix your life, when the only way any of those processes will work is if you shift your vibration first. Because when you shift your vibration, you shift your relationship to those processes working. Okay, have you ever had an experience where that process worked and then another time where it didn't work? Well, that's because of the vibration, the intention that you were in when you were participating in that practice. I bet you it worked best when you were on a retreat there. Why? Because you set an intention prior to that where your energy was flowing in such a way that anything that you would do or anything that you would participate in would work for you, would help you, would assist you, would align you with your source energy and your abundance flow in your life. And when source energy is flowing in your life, newsflash, guys, it doesn't just serve the issue at hand, it serves all of the issues at hand, because you are a vessel. And when that light energy is flowing through your vessel, it serves and imbues and lights up with consciousness everything that is in your life. Clarity will emerge in other areas of your life too when you find a way to allow that source energy to flow through you. It doesn't matter how, just find a way. Find your way. And the easiest way to do that is by following the things that feel good, that make you the most happy, most joyful, most passionate, most enthusiastic, or most lucky to feel like you're alive to enjoy and indulge in that feeling. Thank you for that question. This next question is from Miriam. Hi, y'all. I wanted to ask a question about subliminals and if you think they work, and hear from any of you if you've tried them. In the past, I was quite resistant to affirmations because it felt like I was lying to myself when I was saying, I am rich, I am a billionaire. And my conscious mind is like, no, you are not. So I was wondering if there is a difference if you cannot directly hear the affirmations when they are overplayed with meditation musics. What do you think about, I think she means, what do you think about the conscious mind? Is there more, is then more open to that? And do you think that the conscious mind is then more open to that and then able to change some beliefs? Or is it the same as before? Have any of you tried them and noticed any difference? Okay, paraphrase that a little bit just to correct any typos in here. But I think that we definitely understand this question and we love this question. So thank you for asking this question and offering us the opportunity to answer this question. Now, that kind of dovetails into what we just talked about a little bit, in the sense that when you shift your vibration, you shift your relationship to anything you are participating in, even the people in your life. Okay, your relationship to the people in your life shift. when you shift your vibration? Have you ever went to like an incredible festival or an incredible retreat, and then you get back and then you see everyone in your life in a new light and you're excited to see them? That's because your vibrations change. There's energy flowing through you, and that's consciousness. And that consciousness heals everything. That shift is what changes your life, okay? Healing old wounds does not change your life. The healing of the old wounds comes from when you shift your vibration, because when you shift your vibration, you shift your perception of those experiences happening. And that is the only way you change your reality. That is the only way you change the past as well, is by changing your perception of the past. A truly healed person from their trauma is healed because they've shifted their perception of the past, okay? So in terms of subliminals, we wanted to open by saying, of course, subliminals will work when you are in the right frequency using them. However, you're right. If you want to use the subliminal messages or affirmations that feel good to you, okay? So you can be creative with them, okay? If you're saying I'm a billionaire and what you feel is resistance inside of you, if you say I'm a billionaire, I'm a billionaire, I'm a billionaire, and all you feel like you're signaling energetically is your despair and your forsakenness, that is what you are perpetuating. That is what you're vibrating. So instead, try an incremental kind of step in the direction to sort of gain some speed, right? In that energy. Eventually you'll be fast enough to sort of, your energy will move in such a way with such speed and momentum, right? Where, an affirmation like I'm a billionaire is something that you can reach. But at first, we have to soften it. We have to make it something that you can emotionally access. So you can try, for example, I am free in this moment. I have peace of mind in this moment. When I feel easy things come to me. Things come with ease. Things that normally are difficult come with ease. Sometimes money feels difficult, but when I am in a good state of being, money feels like it comes easy to me. I enjoy the feeling of when money is flowing into my life. I enjoy the feeling of security. I enjoy the feeling of being safe. I enjoy the feeling of possibility. I enjoy the feeling of enthusiasm. You see how we're selecting words that are synonymous with how you feel, how you would feel as a billionaire, okay? Pick affirmations that are synonymous with how you want to feel, and that is how you attract a reality. Can you feel how we were shifting that vibration a little bit just by talking like that? Okay? So you want to do it incrementally, and then it's going to be like, oh, I am safe, I am secure. It is natural to know that when I am safe and when I am secure, that money is flowing to me, that abundance is flowing to me. Maybe I am abundant. I am abundant. I'm an abundant person in this world. I have an abundance of love in my life. I have an abundance of relationships in my life. I have an abundance of resources in my life, of people that I can access that can help me with anything or any question that I could possibly have. I am an abundant person. And if I'm an abundant person, that means I can access more abundance than I have been before. It's not affirmations that work or not work. It's the type of affirmations you use and how you use affirmations that make them work. Anything that can influence your thoughts can influence your vibration, and anything that shifts your vibration shifts your reality, shifts the people in your reality, shifts the things in your reality, shifts your choices, shifts your thoughts. Perception is reality. The way you perceive the world is reality, and you shift your perception by shifting your vibration. Vibration, 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 everybody. We cannot forget that we are vibrational beings in a vibrational universe. We cannot. So we have a couple people who posted just some fun things like celebrity readings or famous people that they're just interested in what their aura color is like, and this gives us an opportunity to talk about the different aura colors as well. So, for example, Dita Von Teese, somebody posted, what is Dita's aura color? Well, her aura color is lavender. And that is really rare for someone in the public eye, which makes her aura quite striking and makes her feel very unique when you see her. Um, Lavenders are very imaginative, they are very creative, artistic kind of wallflowers. So to see a wallflower type of lavender person in the public eye and doing what she does is quite impressive. She's a performer, right? She does burlesque, I believe. So it's a very expressive, type of color, lavender, and all the purples are quite expressive. So, but the lavenders are usually quite sensitive, a little bit more demure, and you do sense that vibration in her if you've ever seen her speak or talk. It would be very, very soft spoken, right? Almost a little bit mysterious, a little bit. Okay. Lavenders are very high frequency colors and they're often very psychic as well, naturally. Lastly, I have some announcements and just some shout outs that I would like to do. So I just want to say hello again to Corey. Hello to Adriel. Hello, Kara. Hello, Tangi. Hello, Izzy. Hello, everybody. Hello, Christina. Hello, everybody. It's so lovely to connect and to feel your energies. Oh, my goodness. Hello, Amy. Hello, all of you guys. Thank you again for being here and thank you for participating again. I wouldn't have anything to talk about and anything to share or anything to offer in any capacity if it wasn't for you and your prompts and the energy that you fuel in these sessions, in these transmissions that I respond to. Okay, so thank you again for all of your help, for all of your support. And lastly, on the subject, really, Miriam actually kind of hit it quite on the head there, in terms of kind of creating easier ways to align your vibration through these simple methods that we all know we can. It's just about shifting vibration, shifting energy, and meeting you where you are at vibrationally to incrementally speak to you in a way that raises your vibration. I really wanted to create something that makes it easy, sort of like a simple stepping stone, pebble stone reminders, into our awareness, back into our alignment, into our true selves, and just ways to maintain that on a daily basis. I wanted to create something that I could use, that I could read as well. So I actually created a book with 88 channeled messages to help increase your vibration, to align your life with your desires, and to accessing your true self. It's a very easy read, and it's also a journal. I wanted to create a journal that also worked as something with messages inside of it, because when I'm journaling, and if you watch any of my videos online, you will see me jotting things down. So what I'm doing is I'm automatic writing. I'm also journaling. I write as well. I journal not during sessions. However, during sessions, I will be channeling, and there will be a number of different messages written down that my guides will reference later on. So I wanted to create a book that could house all of those messages that my guides use. So what happens when you're channeling and when you're in a state like we were practicing earlier in this podcast and in other podcasts, when we're channeling, what happens is my mind will dart to specific words or phrases that I either wrote during that session or in other sessions. Sometimes I'm peeling through the pages and my guides are guiding this, right? They're guiding the energy that influences me to search for this series of words or phrases that match the energy that they are trying to convey to me, aka the message they are trying to convey to me. Your eyes will dart to a series of words, and that is how you know the message they are trying to get you to hear in order to raise your vibration, raise your consciousness and your awareness, back into your true self, back into your empowered self, okay? And to promote healing as well. So what this book will do is, it'll be a place where you can also write down your meditation notes, anything that comes to you, any epiphanies, any insights that your guides speak to you. You can use it as a gratitude journal as well, where you can write down anything that you're grateful for. And anytime at all that you are looking to raise your vibration, all you need to do is open that book. And you know the page that you open or that you are drawn to, that your fingers are drawn to, you simply open the book. That is a message that you are meant to read in that moment. Okay? I wanted to create something that is very easy for us to just kind of pick up and have an instant message, an instant dialogue from Spirit, okay? I already do this with notebooks that I have, and I just wanted to create something with a little bit more content in there that we can sort of reference and have us and our spirit guides participate in, okay? So I'm very excited about this. It's going to be very high vibrational and just very fun and interactive, and we're going to be doing fun exercises and things. And again, I have more things like this coming out as well. This is not the only thing, and I'm so excited about this. And thank you guys for sticking around and just being here and connecting in this energy. I appreciate you all so much. This is such a great day, and I'm so happy to be with you. Peace and love to all of you, and take care. Bye-bye.